Space is big and old, consisting of countless galaxies. Our galaxy alone is 13.61 billion years old and is 100,000 light years in diameter. The Milky Way consists of 100 to 400 billion stars, with about 20 billion of these stars being like our Sun, and along with these stars are planets that exist within these stars' solar systems, with about 1/5 of the Sun-like stars containing Earth-like planets within the Goldilocks zone of the star, where the known conditions for life are known to develop. Given how fast humanity has advanced into a civilization capable of launching rockets into space, countless alien civilizations capable of inhabiting other worlds had to have developed, spreading throughout the galaxy over the billions of years that the Milky Way has existed. And despite all of this, we've never seen any of these spacefaring empires, or any definitive evidence of their existence, or any other alien civilizations for that matter. So if life is so likely, where is everyone? This is the Fermi Paradox, and today we will be exploring solutions to the paradox in the Fermi Paradox Solutions Iceberg. The Fermi Paradox was a dilemma based around a response given by Nobel Prize winner Enrico Fermi and his colleagues during a lunchtime conversation where all important discussions occur. Fermi and his friends Edward Teller, Herbert York, and Emil Konopinski would discuss the likelihood of advanced civilizations in space in the summer of 1950. And the topic of conversation would change, but despite this, Fermi would ask something along the lines of, "But where is everybody?" with the group initially laughing at the randomness of the comment until realizing that he was talking about the alien conversation. And again, this is such a boys at lunchtime type of conversation, just immediately shift back to another one. But Fermi wasn't the first to take note of the lack of concrete evidence of aliens, but would popularize it along with his colleagues, who would propose a more formal improvisation to the initial question at the response of Fermi, who would later pass away in 1954. Many people since would create solutions to the paradox, and that is what I'm going to discuss today, to see why we haven't come across aliens yet. Additionally, there are a couple entries that probably should have been on here, so I have a bonus tier to the iceberg, including some solutions from the initial Reddit thread where the iceberg came from and whatnot. So, without a further ado, let's get into the iceberg. And to start off this iceberg, we have the simple solution that we just haven't been discovered yet. One of the most simple solutions is that we haven't been discovered by a spacefaring civilization, for many reasons, such as us not giving off enough of a presence to be detected, or if aliens decided to just look another direction. We probably just haven't been discovered yet. Given there are so many Earth-like planets and how vast our galaxy is, it isn't unlikely that we could just get looked over, or maybe we're just waiting in a queue of planets to be discovered by an advanced civilization, for better or for worse. Perhaps finding life isn't just hard for us, maybe it's hard for everyone. Another solution is that our radios just aren't as advanced enough. It's pretty straightforward, given that alien civilizations that have existed for millions of years probably aren't on the same level as a civilization that relatively recently dipped its toes into the cosmic pond known as space. Our radio emitting and detection software is pretty new in the grand scheme of the universe, so yeah, it's possible that advanced civilizations use far more advanced forms of radios or even another system of communication and detection entirely. In this scenario, we are simply yelling to the other side of the ocean from another. Another solution could be that space is too big to communicate with other civilizations, especially ones that haven't established contact prior. Given how massive space is, where we use distance traveled going at the speed of light in a year as ranges of distance, quick and easy communication like this video going to your device may just not be possible in the vastness of space. even if you're an advanced civilization that has been around for millions of years. And given that even some of our closest neighbors are thousands of light years away, we could say that they would even establish contact in quick enough time to where we could relay information at a rate that isn't like thousands of years apart. And starting us off on tier 2 of the iceberg, we have the zoo hypothesis. The zoo hypothesis is one of the earlier solutions to the Fermi paradox. The hypothesis assumes that aliens do not communicate with Earth or other civilizations as to not interfere with their natural development. Instead, alien civilizations would do nothing more than keep an eye on us, either indefinitely or until we reach a certain point in our development that they believe we could coexist, or we just get wiped out because they think we're bad. An interesting dilemma with the zoo hypothesis is what point a society has to advance until the no contact rule ends, given that eventually two spacefaring empires have to come into contact with each other at some point. The zoo hypothesis is pretty common in science fiction media, such as Star Trek, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and my favorite depiction from South Park, where the Earth is handled as a reality TV show and is sealed away from the rest of space. The zoo hypothesis is often used as a base for several solutions to the Fermi paradox, and many of which we will explore later in the iceberg. Additionally, many solutions kind of branch off from another using one as a base, kind of like this one is a pretty good example of it. Now, out of all of the solutions on the iceberg, I find the solution that aliens just aren't interested in us being the most likely one. There are a multitude of reasons why Earth wouldn't seem important to aliens. If the aliens need materials, they would most likely use mining planets, asteroids, or even get resources directly from stars. If aliens need more space to live, they'd create large space stations, and given the nature of hypothetical space travel, aliens would become accustomed to long-term living conditions in spacecrafts. And if aliens need somewhere to land, they could either create bases on planets, terraform uninhabitable planets given how advanced they are, or could just find a larger Earth-like planet if they really need an Earth-like planet. Additionally, if you are a spacefaring civilization, you probably would have found aliens once you explore enough. And once you find life form for a few hundred times, even thousands of planets, life on Earth probably wouldn't seem too remarkable to need to check it out for yourself. And all of this assumes that alien civilizations don't have enough on their hands anyway. If human politics are such a disaster, and imagine how complex multi-planetary politics can get. Maybe the only reason we haven't found advanced civilizations is because we are the only ones in the galaxy, or at least the first. Although a big aspect of the Fermi paradox is that the galaxy is old enough to have had countless civilizations to come into being, we don't know how life can just pop up like that. We could very well be the first advanced civilization in the galaxy. Maybe it is us who are going to become the spacefaring civilization for aliens to wonder where we're at and what's taking us so long. And I gotta be honest, government cover-up is kind of a boring solution. Governments would probably have reasons to cover up alien life, either to ensure alien technology and resources to be given exclusively to certain governments, or to avoid the widespread shock of revealing aliens all at once. Probably to drip feed aliens over a period of time to ease people into the fact that aliens exist. The US government often used UFOs as psyops, basically to cover up secret aircrafts and stuff of the such, to get people thinking about the wrong stuff. But maybe these psyops weren't psyops. Maybe it's a multi-layered psyop where it actually is an alien, but you tell them that it's this so that they think that, oh, maybe they're just covering up a secret aircraft or something. But who knows? The rabbit hole digs so deep. Now this entry is a pretty interesting one. This solution compares us to the people of North Sentinel Island, off of the coast of India. An untacted tribe that is known as the Sentinelese is well known for their violence towards those who try to visit the island. And Given that many of man's advancements come from wars and militaries, we could appear just as the Sentinelese appeared to us, as an alien civilization, isolating us as not to harm alien explorers, but for our own good. On this note, during the Las Vegas alien sightings, a responding police officer said, just shoot the alien on sight. So that definitely doesn't help our case. And moving on to tier 3 of the iceberg, we have the entry that we are living in a simulated universe. Possible solution to the paradox could just be good old simulation theory. A simulation of our world at our current time that is as accurate as possible doesn't necessarily require alien empires saying hello to us every few minutes. And if we are living in a simulated universe, who knows what the actual universe is like? It could be anything for all we know. The beings in charge of the simulation may even purposely phase aliens out of our civilization to establish a certain environment and narrative for us to live in. To expand on the zoo hypothesis, aliens may have even put us in simulations to observe where humanity advances in our civilization to see if we're worthy of popping out someday. And before moving further into the iceberg, we have to explain filters and the great filters and what they are. Filters are hypothetical events that only civilizations equipped to overcome can survive, with other civilizations being phased out. For example, if humans could not overcome predatory animals, our filter would be being hunted into extinction. Along with smaller filters that civilizations have to overcome, there is the concept of a great filter. Coined by Robin Hanson in 1996, a great filter is a civilization-ending cataclysm that can spell doom and gloom for a majority, if not all, societies, wiping them out no matter what, a hypothetical end screen for intelligent life. This great filter may occur around the time a civilization is capable of intergalactic colonization, hence why we haven't found one yet. And with the concept of great filters established, one possible great filter may be something we are fighting today: climate change. Climate change has wiped out millions of species over the years, so it only makes sense that intelligent life is just a little harder to deal with. And that just natural occurring climate change, to our knowledge, has been wiping out life for ages. We've even witnessed civilizations go extinct with climate change being a driving factor, such as the Rapa Nui civilization, who turned their lush forest island into a landscape barren of resources and a culture that spiraled into extinction, with only their monuments being note of their existence. Although the Spanish sure didn't assist in helping the remaining locals out too much. Given how Earth can change drastically, different climates without human interference, our carbon emissions and environmental destruction can create scenarios that even we can't bounce back from. Rising sea levels can sink a majority of coastal cities, leaving millions of people in a scenario where they need to relocate and build more homes or possibly a new city, leading to even more environmental destruction. And on top of that, imagine climate change on multiple worlds all happening at once over light years, and see how an alien civilization would have to deal with climate change. Given the fact that we've never met an alien species, maybe we're the only ones to think about going into space. As strange as it sounds, it could be possible that alien civilizations have advanced to high levels while not thinking about interstellar transport. Many cultures had not invented things that modern people see as a simple thing, like a wheel, such as the Mesoamerican civilizations. They didn't invent the wheel in their cultures, but despite this, they had more advanced medical knowledge than pretty much anywhere else in the world. So, maybe on a bizarro world, there's a civilization that outclasses us in every field but space travel or aerospace-oriented fields. Other factors like lifespans of said species, population levels, and desire to expand can create societies that will not go to the stars. Who knows? Maybe all other species are like plants, where they're just rooted in a place and they can't really travel well, but are hyper intelligent and have advanced technology. The rare earth hypothesis originates from a book released in the year 2000 by Peter Ward and Donald E. Brownlee, titled Rare Earth: Complex Life is Uncommon in the Universe. And I'd say the title is a pretty brief rundown as a hypothesis as is. The hypothesis claims that the conditions for even simple life to come into existence and live in a semi-permanent environment are pretty rare, and the level of rarity increases greatly with how complex the life form becomes. Even if there are millions of Earth-like planets in their respective Goldilocks zones, other circumstances may prevent life from developing, such as tectonic movement, magnetospheric and atmospheric conditions, and other factors that are currently unknown. Even if life can develop into the complex level, it is likely that they could be wiped out by mass extinction events, which have been known to happen on Earth, although some life forms have survived. A filter such as a mass extinction event may even wipe out an entire planet clean of life if it gets drastic enough. And expanding on rare Earth hypothesis, intelligent life is a whole other level of unlikelihood. Out of all the life forms to develop on our planet, human-deemed intelligent life forms are pretty few and far between, at least with our current understanding of intelligence. Even life on par with dogs, crows, and chimps isn't the common occurrence in nature. Although I think this entry refers to the level of intelligence using us as the lower estimate. To our knowledge, amongst the billions of species to exist, nothing has reached the level of technological advancement or intelligence as us humans. If life forms like troglomites and fish, or even just bacteria, are unlikely, then imagine life on par with or more intelligent than humans. And for this species to exist through enough time to establish themselves in our solar systems without making cataclysmic mistakes, there's an even higher level of unlikelihood of us coming across more advanced spacefaring civilizations existing at the same time as us. And starting Tier 4 off with a pretty out there solution to the iceberg, that civilizations don't survive the atomic era. It could be possible that we're the only civilization to survive past the atomic era, which is pretty much the 1950s to the late 90s, viewing it as a filter. The atomic era was a pretty dangerous time to exist, as the cold loomed over everyone's head, along with the threat of complete and nuclear destruction. Not only did the capitalists and the communists create nukes that could wipe out an entire nation, dooming an entire area to be uninhabitable for an extremely long time, but our tribal instincts really kicked into play, making the Cold War the ultimate case of people trying to play team sports. And thankfully for us, nuclear warfare was avoided and level heads prevailed, with the atomic age and the Cold War ending with major wars occurring within 40 years, but none of them reached a truly cataclysmic level for humanity. Maybe circumstances on alien worlds resulted in their atomic ages ending with civilization itself, be it political instability or different moral philosophies leading to nuclear warfare. You could use the math of the rare earth hypothesis and plug in the likelihood of intelligent life, and let said life forms develop to the point where they create tsar bombas and many other nuclear weapons, and let's see how likely their life forms are to survive through the many eras of nuclear weapons. Given our current knowledge and level of technology, interstellar travel is scientifically impossible, and maybe it is impossible beyond our understanding. Given the nature of space being extremely spread apart by thousands of light years, and beyond light speed travel believed to be impossible, the means of successful travel to other solar systems, let alone distant reaches of our galaxy, could just be out of reach of even the most advanced civilizations. Although impossible seems like a bit of hyperbole, as we have discovered small objects moving beyond the speed of light, and given how the speed of human travel has changed drastically within the past 100 years alone, the technology required to travel to other solar systems doesn't seem like something too unlikely to develop in the span of millions of years. Now, this solution could mean a few things, but first, let's take it as it is at its most direct wording. Maybe being within the Goldilocks zone isn't enough for life to arise on just one planet. We have often believed that Venus and Mars were once habitable until some incident that rendered both planets inhabitable. Perhaps some cross-planetary germination of simple life forms is required to bring about life as a whole. However, this entry probably refers to massive interstellar civilizations requiring multiple habitable planets in order to maintain proper living spaces for their inhabitants. Given how huge the human population has boomed over the course of recent history, with the population hitting 1 billion around 1804, to our current population at 8.1 billion 220 years later, multiple planets would be needed for a civilization millions of years down the line, even with population control. Now, we already know that mathematics is not an innate human concept, as several animals such as birds, dogs, rats, primates, and even fish can understand numbers. But perhaps the entry refers to advanced mathematics, but even then, mathematics tends to just progress with the civilization and how intelligent the species can be. There does exist an Amazonian tribe known as Paraha people that lack words for numbers or time, so we do know civilizations can arise with extremely simple mathematics. However, this hinders the tribe and it makes tasks that require exact amounts a little more tedious, making them not the biggest players on the block. Even the idea that math is an Earth exclusive thing comes off as pretty far-fetched, given how many animals can understand simple math. However, we don't know what aliens are like. That's part of the whole equation. We've never met one. Now, this solution is pretty creepy, yet also pretty understandable. A civilization advanced enough to travel through space could possess the ability to conceal its presence, but why would they need to? It is so dangerous that they would need to hide themselves. Well, there is a pretty unsettling theory down the iceberg that might touch on that. Alien technology may possibly just be so advanced that we can't detect it, just off of it being so advanced. Although the ability to cloak a whole civilization must pull a lot of power from somewhere, most likely from a star. And stars have been spotted dimming without signs of objects eclipsing them or them running out of power, which could possibly indicate a Dyson sphere, a series of panels that surround a star and drain the energy directly from it. If this is true, a civilization's desire to conceal itself may be what reveals their presence to other civilizations in an ironic twist. Moving on to tier 5 of the iceberg, we have civilizations not surviving AI. Another possible great filter may be one of our current scares, and could be one of our last. So far, AI is mainly known for pissing off most artists, actors, voice actors, etc., but has always been considered a threat if it were to gain access to more powerful aspects of society, such as energy, water, or most feared, military. Science fiction has always seen AI getting sick of humanity and just deciding to replace it with itself, either through an error or through some terrorist intentionally designing it to, or even its own natural path of decision making. Given this, alien civilizations that get to the point to where they can create artificial intelligence may find themselves in similar dilemmas to those of our dystopian fictions. Let's just hope that these alien AIs aren't complex enough to be self-sufficient and would just shut off at some point. Well, I mean, I think it's probably common sense that we haven't reached the Great Filter, given we're still right here, right now. But if not, that leaves another obvious question. How far can we get until we reach the Great Filter? And what even is the Great Filter for all advanced civilizations that we cannot surpass? Some theorize the super virus or some sort of evolutionary dead end that could wipe out civilizations. But cosmic events could also wipe out entire star systems and may just happen so commonly that life cannot leave their solar system within a reasonable amount of time. It feels like the Tower of Babel being knocked down by God and civilization's hubris being its undoing, but it could just be the raw nature of the cosmos wiping us out before we even get the chance to colonize the stars. Now, this solution is somewhat of an expansion of the aliens being everywhere but we can't see them solution. And basically, aliens could just view live scans of the universe and go check it out in VR. Man, that'd be a really cool thing to have. Aliens may also control robots to explore worlds as proxies and control them from home. Or maybe aliens even just use psychic powers to remote view the universe at will. And any of these methods would pretty much remove a need to explore these worlds unless you'd really need to. Now, this solution is pretty unsettling, implying that every other civilization in the galaxy has been snuffed out by something, except for us. We remain for whatever reason. Either we haven't reached our filter, or everyone else got wiped out by some massive cataclysm. This solution gives off a pretty eerie feeling, as we are only to progress as much as we can, like a boat pushing forward into the foggy ocean, not knowing what lies ahead. And now, down at tier 6 of the iceberg, we have the laboratory hypothesis. The laboratory hypothesis is somewhat similar to simulation theory, although it's a little different. Theory sees our Earth, our solar system, or even our galaxy as one big petri dish in an alien laboratory, being monitored in a cosmic experiment. A big distinction that separates this hypothesis from the zoo hypothesis is that we're not just being observed, but we are literally being used in a laboratory experiment, with our observers interfering with our environment directly. This hypothesis can also view the one looking over us as a god or maybe some other deity, rather than just an advanced civilization. Societal resets have occurred in human history, with the fall of the Roman Empire, specifically the Western Roman Empire, to be specific, leading to many formerly Roman territories to not only stagnate, but to be set back technologically. For example, Roman concrete was so advanced that it is even considered better than modern concrete, as it possesses an ability to restore itself. And it is often theorized that humanity itself used to be far more advanced than it is today, but something happened that sent us all the way back to the Stone Ages. And this would not exclude aliens in outer space. A massive war or a resource crisis could have ended up rendering much of a civilization's technology unusable, forcing the survivors to start from scratch. Perhaps the Great Filter doesn't end a civilization by wiping it out, but by resetting it back to square one. And this is the boring solution. We're alone. End of story. The most obvious conclusion to not finding life in the galaxy is that there simply is no life to find to begin with. Even though the math supports life being out there, maybe another factor isn't being accounted for that makes us the only surviving life for some reason. Although being alone in the universe grants us an interesting opportunity. It grants humanity the ability to explore the universe free of any space empire trying to wipe us out. At the same time, we would have ourselves to maintain the peace until we can expand into a space-faring civilization, before we all wipe ourselves out, exterminating the only light in the galaxy that there is. Although this entry doesn't exclude, there being a higher power out there. At least not directly. Down at the depths of tier 7 of the iceberg, we have the Dark Forest Theory. And this theory is one of the scariest solutions on the iceberg. And it makes sense that it's all the way at the bottom, as I think this list is organized by the darkest theories towards the bottom, opposed to lesser known obscure theories. But anyway, the Dark Forest Theory claims that civilizations do their best to avoid detection out of fear of being spotted by something that can wipe them out. This makes other civilizations quiet yet hostile, wiping out whatever makes itself known. This theory is kind of bizarre though, because if you destroy an entire civilization, you risk everyone else seeing that you destroyed that civilization, getting together to defeat you as a threat. But additionally, in a scenario where you're attacking a civilization but are unable to wipe them out, then not only is it known to everyone else that you are a threat, but it gives them a chance to get revenge and destroy you. A few solutions to this hole in the theory that I thought up is that perhaps the threat that everyone hides from is either an ancient, super advanced civilization that maintained a technological lead over everyone throughout millions of years just by bullying everyone they find, or the attacker could be a super powerful AI that either took over or assimilated its mother civilization and is tasked with destroying everyone it finds. And I found out later that this is another theory. As of late, the Dark Forest theory has become a little more popularized thanks to sci-fi books such as The Free Body Problems that are getting a Netflix series this year, and a 1987 novel known as The Forge of God. And its explanation of the theory is so raw that I have to read it out right here. There once was an infant, lost in the woods, crying its heart out, wondering why no one answered, drawing down the wolves. We've been sitting in our tree, chirping like foolish birds, over and over for a century now, wondering why no other birds answered. The galactic skies are full of hawks. That's why. Planetisms that don't know enough to keep quiet get eaten. Now, this solution is unsettling like the prior one of us being the last survivors, but this one gives off a bit of a beacon of hope. For some reason, at least I interpret it that way. The great filter that unanimously destroys all was somehow unable to stop the indomitable human spirit. Either through pure luck or... pure luck. We survived. Out of all the civilizations in our galaxy, we are the only ones to pass the Great Filter, marching forward as the last civilization standing. And that is gonna do it for the iceberg. But wait, I created the bonus tier of entries, with about half of them coming from the initial Reddit thread and others from elsewhere. But starting off the bonus tier, we have what was supposed to be in the first tier of the iceberg. We just haven't been looking for long enough. Perhaps we have all we need to pinpoint advanced civilization and to establish communication with them, but we just haven't put enough time into looking for them. Maybe they aren't hiding in plain sight, or hiding at all for that matter. Instead, it's just a big game of Where's Waldo. This solution claims that advanced civilizations are dependent on their planet undergoing a long and rich biological history to progress to spacefaring colonizers. Not only is a historically challenging period filled with fierce competitors necessary for intelligent life to evolve, but materials like wood were necessary for many of man's evolution, and fuel sources such as fossil fuels and natural gas are necessary for transportation and energy, at least until a civilization develops green alternatives, that is. So perhaps it is important for habitable planets to undergo millions or even billions of years of biological history to provide the conditions necessary for a spacefaring civilization. The massive MMOs concept is similar to simulation theory, but instead of simulating a realistic universe, they create a utopian world within a virtual reality where a civilization can live happily ever after. If you can create the ideal world for yourself and the rest of your civilization, what need would you really have to explore the cold and boring vacuum of space? The only problem is that said civilization would need a way to keep the simulation going on so everyone doesn't get deleted. So civilization capable of this would probably need enough to acquire a Dyson sphere or maybe another form of consistent and reliable energy to power the simulation. The Aestivation Hypothesis claims that advanced civilizations will wait until the heat death of the universe to get back to business. Created in 2017 by Anders Sandberg, Stuart Armstrong, and Milan M. Krivokic, the hypothesis points to the fact that stored energy can increase by 10 to the 30th power, or 1 nonillion times, while the universe cools in the far future. So, in order to capitalize on this as much as possible, Civilizations may enter some form of hibernation, probably using simulations to occupy themselves, hopefully the one with the massive MMOs theory, while storing energy until the universe begins to cool during its later stages of expansion. And I'd assume if you wanted to stay in the simulation, then there'd be more than enough energy left to allow you to chill in the Matrix a bit, you sheeple. Imagine it gets a little more chilly, and then all of a sudden, the night sky gets littered with light all of a sudden. Honestly, what a really cool, get it, theory. I kind of touched on a god or a higher power creating our universe and us being our only form of intelligence it created when talking about the laboratory theory. However, many religious people believe in this theory that the only intelligence other than us are the great powers that called us into existence. Perhaps space can just be explained as either a milestone for us to reach or even a sign of what unlimited power can look like, a true infinity for us to gaze into forever if we wished. The Berserker Hypothesis, based on the sci-fi series called Berserker, claims that the reason we haven't found anybody is because they're either all or mostly dead, serving as an even darker dark forest theory mixed in with the whole civilizations don't survive AI solution. In the Berserker novels, a series of self-replicating robots referred to as Berserkers destroy any life they come across. This hypothesis is probably the scariest one, because in this case, not only are we alone, but we exist on borrowed time, waiting to be destroyed by a threat we cannot overcome. Perhaps there are plenty of spacefaring civilizations in our galaxy, just not on our side of it. Maybe only some of the galaxy would be suitable for colonization due to concentration of rocky planets to land on and gas giants for resources. Life may not be scattered across the galaxy at random. Maybe the other side of our galaxy is just home to conditions that life is more likely to arise and colonize, with us just kind of sitting in the Sneeko chair, waiting for our turn. Perhaps we could be looking for life the wrong way. Life developing on planets is our default way of thinking that life comes to be because, well, that's us. But maybe life doesn't develop on planets normally, but on asteroids in the form of panspermia. Life may even be able to develop into intelligent life forms capable of space travel on said asteroids, with the largest known asteroids getting to over 300 miles in diameter. Maybe some life forms may be accustomed to the vacuum as it is, with creatures being able to travel through space without the need for technology at all, kind of like fish swimming through water. Advanced life forms from planets may even decide to begin living in fleets or in huge space stations. Perhaps the reason we haven't received messages from alien civilizations is because nobody is actually transmitting signals. Instead, everyone is just waiting for another civilization to contact them. Even we haven't focused too much of our time on sending messages into space, with pretty limited messages sent out, and on top of that, everybody could be using different systems that aren't compatible anyway. And in an ironic twist of fate, everyone will listen for a message, leaving nobody to actually transmit a successful message, only receiving silence. Thanks to Marvel, everything has to be multiverse related, so here we are, and this solution is kinda neat, honestly. Perhaps instead of voyaging into outer space, advanced civilizations instead try to explore other universes, creating multiversal empires. And it is possible that it would probably be more worthwhile and interesting, of course, for a civilization to venture into a whole other universe opposed to into space. Although I feel a multiversal civilization and an intergalactic civilization wouldn't really be mutually exclusive, given that we have achieved a primitive level of space travel, yet have achieved not an ounce of multiversal exploration. I think the civilization would also achieve intergalactic travel before the ability to go into other universes, but then again, we've never met an alien, so What do I know what they're capable of? This solution is similar to our radios not being advanced enough, although that isn't exactly the case. Instead, our radios being the problem, perhaps we aren't listening correctly. Given it is another civilization separated by light years of distance, perhaps their messages are just a little different from the radio messages we would expect to receive. Perhaps the reason we cannot find alien civilizations is because they're just way beyond our understanding. Alien life may have evolved beyond our understanding either in a literal sense or in a technological sense. Maybe alien civilizations could have turned into Alien X, but it's more likely that their technology could be so far beyond ours that we cannot communicate with them for a very, very, very long time. It'd be the equivalent of a caveman yelling at a telephone pole. But also, maybe they are just completely incomprehensible due to them just being different, not necessarily more advanced. And although this could be an extension of us just not being advanced enough, as them being incomprehensible to us, maybe they just are straight up incomprehensible regardless of technology. After all, we're only left to assume what aliens are actually like. One likelihood is that the thirst for war is not a uniquely human trait, but maybe other civilizations are also doomed to be their own worst enemy. Take humans, for example. The one creature that we are best suited at killing is ourselves. War has been a cornerstone of human history, a culture such as the Trojans only being known from wartime stories and things such as the Iliad alone until relatively recently. Perhaps other civilizations out there are fated to wage war upon themselves until eventually rendering itself extinct. Nuclear warfare looms over our heads with modern conflicts scaring everyone on a daily basis. And we've only had nukes for about 80 years. Take into account how deadly weapons can get beyond that over the course of thousands of years. And one press of a button can undo billions of years of evolution and millions of years of technological progress, just like that. And the final entry is true silence. This entry is what it sounds like. We are completely alone. No aliens. I mean, no one. No aliens, no gods, no deities, no driving force behind creation, no unconscious Lovecraftian being. I mean, nothing else in existence but us. We only have each other. And that's going to do it for the Fermi Paradox Solutions Iceberg. And this was a very, very interesting topic. The question of the Fermi Paradox has always been something that's been interesting, thinking, oh, aliens have to exist, math supports it, but we haven't found any officially. It's just such an interesting topic. I had to cover this iceberg. I'm surprised nobody has covered this iceberg or made a grander iceberg than this. It's such a very interesting topic to cover. And if you have any solutions to the Fermi Paradox that weren't listed on the bonus entries or on the standard iceberg itself, go ahead, feel free to list them below. I always love checking out the comments. And yeah, if you like the video, go ahead and subscribe and leave a like if you like the channel, if you like the content. We're going to keep it up. Might take a little bit longer on this next video because I won't be in town for about a week, so I won't be able to work on this next video for a while, and school's about to start back up, so yeah, but still expect more content in the distant future. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!